Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Blowout Sports Podcast. I'm Ryan Hayes.
And I'm Dylan Bracha, and we are joined by the one and only Christian.
How are you guys? What's going on?
Very, very special guest, Christian Maldonado, here to talk some sports, some football, our baseball analyst.
Yes, sir.
Over there. We're ready.
Crazy.
We had a crazy NFL week, nearly a record-breaking game. The Miami Dolphins put up 70 on the Denver Broncos.
They could have had the record.
Should have
Yeah.
had the record.
I mean,
It's not a should have, though, because they chose not to.
They chose not to.
in that situation, I mean,
I'm kicking it.
even though Sean Payton was such a poor sport after, I don't know if you guys saw.
Oh, I did,
What
yeah.
did he do?
He had a press conference, and to be fair, the question was kind of stupid.
The second reporter was kind of stupid.
But like, he was like, "How do you feel about this?" He's like, "Obviously, I don't feel great," and he's just like saying all this stuff. But I especially don't feel bad for him after what he said about the previous head coach, Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
And like he was saying, "Oh, I give this team a better chance to win." This, that, the other. I mean, the dude's 0-3. Right
He's
now.
0-3.
How do you come back from losing by 70? I mean, he was talking a lot of talk, and Sean Payton's known for his defense. They just 70 points.
That's
Yeah.
the worst part.
Yeah, and it's not like their offense was terrible. Like Russell Wilson didn't have a terrible day. He threw one pick, but he
Right.
also he threw one pick. He had I think over 200 yards passing. He had a touchdown. Like it's not like he had a terrible game and they had to take him out. They were even getting flack for leaving him in the game when they were down by 50.
Right. There's nothing you can do on the offensive side of the ball when your defense gives up 70. And Sean Payton talked about how Tua was going to be replaced by Teddy Bridgewater last year, and
Yeah.
Tua made him eat his words.
There was so many
That's
just
crazy.
storylines going into this that just looked terrible for him.
It
And
was
it's-
clearly personal.
It's a lot of irony that goes into that game, and seeing a 50-point blowout, 70 points on their heads. That was just crazy.
I just couldn't believe my eyes. It just kept getting worse and worse.
And like I'm gonna butcher the name. The running back Devon
Achane.
Achane.
It's Achane.
Achane, like,
Confirmed.
like listen, he's a talented dude, but he's like going into the season he was like their RB 2 or 3.
Yeah.
He was the 3. He's
Like-
only 2 because of an injury to Jeff Wilson,
right.
Like, come on,
right?
like
And
it's-
he's very good.
they took their starters out. I would say not too late. Like they still played almost the entire fourth quarter with their backups, and like they just kept scoring.
There was a touchdown from Mike White to Chosen Anderson.
That
like
was awesome.
Chosen.
Chosen.
It's scheme. Chosen Anderson downfield.
I forgot he even played for them, but like it's just nuts that we had
crazy.
these touchdowns still raining in.
And no
know.
Jalen Waddle either.
Yeah, it
No.
was over
Jalen
Surtain.
Waddle.
It was over Patrick Surtain, like best corner in the league.
It's so crazy
It's
that
ridiculous.
they had nothing.
I know.
The Broncos had nothing to answer anything.
And we got another important. We got Taylor Swift in the house in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That kind of overshadowed
Yeah,
the
It
Dolphins.
did.
What
Yeah,
a
this is big
history-setting
story.
game.
Yeah.
It's a big week.
The Swifties took this over. You know how that cult following is, and it was just the whole story of the weekend was Taylor Swift was at a football game.
Yeah, and it's really funny. I forget what the Kelsey's podcast is called,
Not sure.
but him and Travis and Jason have their own podcast.
It's a great podcast too.
It really is. And like over the past month or two, Travis has been saying how he's been trying to make his move with Taylor Swift, and like everybody's been like, oh, he's being so delusional. Like he'll never like just because he went to the concert in Kansas City and this, that, or the other, and she went there. And listen, nothing against the Chiefs and the Bears, but you didn't see many other celebrities there. So you gotta wonder why she's there.
Oh yeah.
Dylan and I were saying before, I was surprised he didn't put up 3 touchdowns, 150 yards. Like,
It was an off-script play.
Yeah,
they
that
weren't
was-
going to Kelsey. Mahomes broke the play and says, "I'm getting Kelsey one today.
Yeah.
He needs it."
yeah.
And then Taylor, I'm assuming, gets the game ball. Of
Yeah,
course.
right.
her up with Mama Kelsey too.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
That's
all
great.
people.
Listen, when you introduce someone to your mom,
Very
that's
That's
famous vlog.
serious
And they are
stuff.
serious. They are. And you saw them together, Kelsey, side eyeing the camera a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, yo, but
He's
back
like, oh, they
up.
got us.
making sure that she's looking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep. They're official. There's no doubt. Pats beat the Jets in a squeaker. I got 2 Pats fans. Take it away.
Oh, I'm so happy to see a win. I got to celebrate Victory Monday in fashion. It was just such an ugly win. Like, I don't want to talk down about a win, but to only put up 15 in that fashion and give them 3 chances to win the game was brutal.
Yeah, and at the time, like I really just have to hand it to our defense. Our defense, like, listen, I know that Zach Wilson's not the best, but like, don't let that fool you. I know our defense is good.
They're
Like,
so good.
I know we have studs. I understand. Like I said, I understand Zach Wilson's the quarterback, and Zach Wilson has his. People think what they think about Zach Wilson, but he locked down Garrett Wilson almost the entire game.
Christian Gonzalez, man.
Yeah, Christian. I forgot to say.
No,
his
no,
name.
I just
Christian
he
Gonzalez.
just every time I think about how his game is, it's so
It's getting
good.
better and better every week. I love to see it. But no, our defense was fantastic. I mean, one thing that I noticed was the fact that it seemed like Zeke was a lot more part of the offense that he has in weeks past, and I kind of like that because, I mean, Zeke is still a very talented guy. I always liked him in the offseason over Dalvin Cook, and I mean,
So far,
Dalvin Cook didn't do anything.
so
in that
far, I
game.
think Zeke has outperformed Dalvin Cook this season.
He's already outperformed some of the expectations I had for him. He
Yeah,
had,
me
like,
too.
he had 19 carries for 80 yards. I'm pretty sure was the final tally.
He's doing better than Ramondre so far. Ramondre has been very slow to start this season.
Yeah. Part of that was due to the mixing and matching of our offensive line.
That's never going to help the run game.
Things like that. Like having Antonio Maffi and City So, who I saw week 1 against the Eagles, even though we almost won that game. And say what you will about PFF, but they were the 2 lowest graded offensive linemen according to PFF in week 1, and we almost beat the Eagles, which is nuts. But yeah, ugly win. Defense really showed out. I mean, one drive where it seemed like they were getting first down after first down, but the safety at the very end to lock it down.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like, they still deflected that Hail Mary that there was no pass rush on. Like, he felt like he had forever to just sling that up there.
Yeah.
Imagine if Randall Cobb pulled that one in at the end.
Nah,
Oh my
I would've
God.
cried.
That would've been a rough
heartbreaking.
day.
They
Would've
got
been a
3
rough day.
chances.
The
That would have been insane.
the MetLife miracle.
Yeah, seriously, it would have had a name.
Never
I
heard
still
the
haven't-
name of it.
I still haven't even gotten over the Miami miracle.
Yeah, that
Oh,
still
that was a
stings,
crazy
and they
play.
bring it up all
Oh
the
my
time.
God.
Ugh.
Yep.
Gronk couldn't get him.
Crazy. What's it called? You saw Kenyon Drake walked into the Ravens facility wearing a shirt that said Gronkowski. He didn't have and then it has a protractor.
Yeah, I saw
It didn't
that.
have the angle.
It's a creative shirt, I will
That's
say
funny.
that.
I was like,
That's
dude,
funny.
that is like the highlight of. If that's the highlight of your career, when we won the Super Bowl that year, like,
Right, yeah.
come on.
That's
Like,
funny.
I get it that he doesn't have much else to, and I'm not saying that to like roast him or whatever, but like say like he doesn't have anything else to cling on to except that, which happened 5 years ago now. Crazy. It's whatever.
Next up, we got the Cowboys. Somehow they lost to the Cardinals.
Man,
They just lost.
Put some respect on Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs.
This, bro, listen, he's played under some pretty good quarterbacks in his career. I've always known, like, even in college, he did his thing, and like, even though, of course, like this is supposed to be a tank season, maybe you go get Caleb Williams in the draft for the Cardinals, whatever. Like, I knew Josh Dobbs was not gonna be a pushover. He showed that in the Giants game. I know that the Giants ended up winning that game, but like he still had some pretty good moments in that one.
Washington game 2, week 1.
Yeah.
He didn't look bad for a
He's-
guy who's been there for like 4 days before the season started.
To say that they've been competitive in every single game, like they've been in it.
Yeah.
They lost by less than a touchdown against the Commanders.
Mhm.
They lost by a touchdown to the Giants, and then they go, even though they're at home, they beat probably what we thought was the best defense coming into week 3.
Not only that, a lot of people picking that game said the Cowboys were going to the Super Bowl. Like, that's the level of they were at off 2 weeks.
And they're coming off like Trayvon Diggs just tore his ACL, which is huge for them. Negatively, of course, but I mean, they just couldn't really get much going. CD was barely involved in the game. Like Pollard ran well, but Dak, they just couldn't get it done in the red zone at all.
What do you think it would take for the Cowboys to move on from Dak?
This season not ending in a Super Bowl.
I mean, so you have to go back to, I think trading for Trey Lance was super dumb, considering, I know it's just the preseason, but Will Greer balled out in the preseason.
He was good.
Cooper Rush has proven himself to be
Cooper
pretty
Rush
solid
was
too.
solid. Like, what
Last
happened
year
to
he was
him?
real good.
What happened to Cooper Rush?
He's now the 3.
Wow.
He's the practice squad guy, I'm pretty sure.
Crazy.
Interesting.
Which is
NFL moves fast.
But
Does
One thing I want to bring up here, the Chargers tried so hard to lose to the Vikings by going for it on 4th down on their own 25. I that's something I've done in Madden a lot, you know? But I don't ever imagine doing that on your own 25. It was 4th and 1. They QB sneaked and they knew it was coming. I mean, it was the only play they had. And
especially sorry.
I just think Brandon Staley is just not a good coach.
No,
I've been saying this since I think last year. Really, he gives up a lot of games in play calling, and that was just one of them that you're scratching. You don't have any trust in your defense to get a stop here. Or at least, you're gonna play it on their own 25.
Right.
It was such a ballsy play that they're lucky it worked out. But if it doesn't, they're 0-3.
LA didn't even like they were just so lucky. It seemed like neither the Vikings or the Chargers wanted to win that game, and then a team just ended up winning. It felt that way in the Ravens Colts game as well.
Yeah,
it's crazy because like neither of those teams could lose.
Yeah,
the
they were
Chargers
both 0-2.
and the Vikings,
they
two playoff
needed it.
teams. There's only been one team in the current wild card format that has made the postseason, that has made the playoffs at 0-2, and that was the Bengals last year. No team at 0-3.
And we're looking at a couple teams that made the playoffs starting 0-2.
I just had a thought. Well, maybe Brandon Staley, what he wanted to do, he goes for that, gives the Vikings a short field. So if they score, or if they do score, they score quickly.
And
So
they
maybe he gets
force.
another chance. Is that what he's
But
thinking?
you're already up. Like, why would you risk? It's just
I'm just
so
trying to
much.
understand something that
He's
probably
just
isn't
lucky.
understandable.
He's just lucky it worked out.
He's been blessed with a very good offense.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
One of the best wide receiver rooms in the league.
Yep.
A quarterback who they had to take. It was basically best available.
Oh yeah.
Justin Herbert was such a stud at Oregon. Like, you had to take him there. It was either him or Tua, and they decided to go Herbert. You really couldn't go wrong.
Yeah.
And Eckler, who is one of the most dynamic and, when he's healthy, one of the most dynamic and one of the best runners in the league. So, like, Staley, he really hasn't made this team his own. He's been building off of previous management. And, I mean, I just haven't seen anything to tell me that he himself is partly responsible for the Chargers' previous success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people want him fired after a win.
I'm
It's
surprised
never a
he's still
good
their head
thing,
coach.
Yeah, me too. After that playoff game last year against the Jags, they blew that game. I didn't know
that
how
was
they
terrible.
kept him.
No, I mean, it was a meltdown last year in the playoffs. It was crazy.
Yep.
So now I got a question I want to pose. We just had our second week of Monday night doubleheaders. Do we like them? Should we tweak them? Should we get rid of them? What are our thoughts here?
I liked the idea. It was kind of cool. I like being able to flip through them like you would on a Sunday when one's in commercial, you get to watch another one, and for my fantasy league, it makes me feel better when I have people on Monday night. It makes me a little more hope. Like, when I had Nakua from the Rams last night. The thing is, I won't get too far into it, but I freaking lost my fantasy league this week because Evan McPherson put up 17 points.
Nuts. Yeah.
Because the Bengals could not score a touchdown.
Big game.
unreal.
no,
I don't
the
know how they
kicker.
ended up winning that game because, and we can go off on this later, but Burrow, oh my
He's dealing
Uh,
with that calf
yeah.
injury.
Yeah.
But,
But going back to Monday night doubleheaders, Dylan brought up a good point. Like they just haven't been very good games.
Yeah.
hmm
They've been kind of boring, low scoring. That Brown Steelers one wasn't too
Yeah.
bad.
good defensive battle.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't mind that one, but yeah, one of my problems is they're at the same time. Like,
Yeah,
I kinda
why-
would want them back to back. Like I feel like that's how they used to have them.
That's
like,
what I was going to bring up. If you're
Yeah.
going to call these primetime games, the reason it's primetime is because there's no competition.
That's true.
So why are you posing two against each other? It's just like that bothers me a little bit. So
Yeah.
maybe the tweak is you put them at different start and end times.
It
Like
seems like a weird
they're
marketing
way too
strategy, like because they could easily get like the majority of viewership for those times, but they're deciding to split up
Split
the
it,
viewership.
right.
I don't know why. It doesn't like I'm not a marketing guy, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem like it would be the right choice.
people watch football.
Yeah,
Like Thursday
no
night
matter what.
games, people are watching.
Doesn't
Monday night
matter. It could be
games, Sunday night games, they're
Titans,
watching.
Jags, they'll watch
Yeah.
it.
It's
that-
football.
And that makes me think of something like, if you guys remember during 2020, we had games on basically every single
day,
day. of the week.
yeah.
On
Like, there was
Tuesdays,
a, like,
Wednesdays.
I'm pretty. I don't know.
There was a
think
week
I
where I
read-
think it was every day except Wednesday.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I asked this question in my head, like, what's stopping them from putting games on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Friday? But I guess it is like rest and
Mhm.
making sure everybody gets the appropriate amount of days off and things like that.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to see them instead of putting two Monday night double headers. Like, why not put a game on a Friday night or put a game on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night? Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like mess around with it. I understand like Saturday's probably not good because you got college football and like even though it is college football, like people still go absolutely crazy for it, and you don't want to compete with that.
Right.
Right.
But like on Monday, a lot of TV shows are like putting out their new episodes for things, and of course, one of the big draws, Monday Night Raw and
Yep.
the WWE is like, why not put it on a day where like you like Tuesday,
Yeah,
Tuesday
what is
should be
on
fine.
Tuesday?
Nothing is
Nothing's
on Tuesday. like
except for the Blowout Sports podcast.
True.
That we record. Yeah, that's
That
right.
is
But
Cheap
but
plug.
like Tuesday, there's nothing going on. You mean to tell me that they couldn't just be like, all right, this game on a Monday, this game on a Tuesday. If you have them play on if you have the team that play on Tuesday play on Sunday, that's still, I guess, an appropriate amount of days off. Maybe
I think
I don't know.
Tuesday NFL game is something I'm definitely for. Yeah.
I think they don't want to take too much away from Red Zone. Like
That's
what's
true. I
what's
like
so great
Red
about
Zone.
Red Zone? You get so much football at once.
Red Zone's pretty awesome.
I love Red Zone.
It was a little overwhelming at times this week. I felt like it was like, oh my god, what's going on here?
But that's what's
You know,
exciting.
That's what's so cool.
That's
The
what's
Dolphins
exciting. You
always
never
in the
know.
red
The
zone.
Dolphins were just
Yeah.
scoring every couple minutes.
It wasn't like they were always too. They had plays that were bombs. They
Yeah,
were
they
just
were
getting
just
touchdowns.
They weren't even on TV. They would just pan to it, and it would just be a Dolphins player running down the
Right
field.
into the end zone. It was
And
crazy.
the thing is, also, I was looking at it, and the Cardinals play 0 primetime games this year.
Wow.
Right.
0.
Yeah, because there's a new thing in place that you don't have to play prime time.
Wow.
Like I don't know if that's the same. I probably should have looked at this. I don't know if it's the same for any other teams, but I know
sure.
like the thing, like if you want to, every fan should be able to see their team on prime time
Mhm.
at least once a year, because not and I know Ryan, you can probably sympathize to this, but like not every fan is in the state that their team plays
Mhm.
in.
Right.
So like I
Yeah,
know
you don't
like,
get every local listing.
no, yeah. So sometimes it's just it's difficult for them to be able to watch their team stuff. Like if you know that you have a game that's on NBC or on ESPN that's going to be at night, prime time game that is going to be on everywhere, and you can watch it and things like that. Like it just, I feel like that would be more appropriate for fans. Yes, the casuals would be like, "Oh, why are the Cardinals playing a prime time game?" or "Why is this team playing a prime time game when they stink?" But like, I'm pretty sure the Panthers have like 2 or 3, and they're worse than
Yeah,
them.
I would say. I mean, you got the rookie though, #1 pick.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Cardinals just they're just kind of a boring team. But watch them like work their way up to getting flexed into a primetime slot.
You never know.
They're probably
when to
using
flex.
it as motivation.
Maybe could, but like I was looking at, I was even talking about this with my dad. I was looking at week 18. Like they play. I know every game is a division game. They play like the Seahawks.
They play Yeah, I was gonna say they probably play Seattle, and then that could be a huge implication game.
Yeah. It could be, but
You don't know. Yeah, maybe for Seattle getting in the wild card.
it was weird because like wasn't it like 2 years ago they put, or 2 or 3 years ago they put the Chargers and the Raiders on Sunday Night Football, and like by that time the entire playoff picture had been set, and they really weren't playing for anything.
Well,
So
no, they
expecting-
were playing for everything. Winning, you're in for them.
Was there like
They could have tied, and they both would have went in.
yeah.
It was something crazy like that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Well, like I don't know, it's interesting. It's interesting to think like last year's was pretty good when they flexed the Lions and the Packers, and nobody thought the Packers were gonna miss the playoffs last
That
year.
was crazy.
That was
Crazy
nuts.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like going back to what we were talking about, I think the Monday night doubleheaders, personally, I liked what you guys didn't like about it. I kind of liked that they were at the same time, and being able to, like, one was in commercial, being able to flip to the other one. And when one's at halftime, you still have football to watch and things like that. I don't know, but that would be pretty cool. Like if one game, like if you had a game that was on the West Coast and for them 10 o'clock is 7 o'clock and things like that, maybe have that, because for them, in California, if you have a primetime game, that's at 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So like, is it really prime time for them? I think it's crazy that if they have to play a 1 o'clock game, they got to wake up for like a 9 a.m., 9 or 10 a.m.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like
That's why they have so many 4 o'clock games.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like if you're playing on the East Coast, like you're subject to a 1 o'clock game. So
Hey, it's the vice versa too. I mean, 4:30 is kind of an ugly time for a lot of people.
yeah,
You're making dinner or whatnot. You never know.
It's kind of a weird time for a game because it takes up your whole afternoon, and then it's light out when the game starts, and then it's like already nighttime. It's like, and then it's Sunday. It's like,
Yeah, you're getting ready for
so
work
much
the
to
next
do.
day. You're getting
It's
ready
like,
for school.
Oh,
Something.
yeah.
I will tell you, I appreciate 1 and 4 o'clock games more than I did before, because now that I have to work now that I have to work Monday morning,
Oh yeah.
like
Staying up
usually-
till 11:30 isn't
Oh,
fun.
I like
Listen,
a
and
1 o'clock game.
when I was younger, when I was in middle school and high school,
Didn't
and
matter.
I would wake up and I'd just have the same amount of energy in the morning. But I'm not to call myself old, but I'm in my 20s now. Like I need my sleep.
We're feeling
Yeah.
it.
You know what I
I get
mean?
tired. I
I
love
need
my
my
sleep.
sleep, especially when you got to be in. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
nuts.
Well, let me introduce a new segment I'm looking to bring in, maybe week to week. We'll get there. Do these teams stink?
Do
Is
they
what I'm
stink?
calling it. Do these teams stink? I'm going to start with the New York Giants. Do they stink?
Yes. I think the New York Giants stink.
And I mean, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough because I believe they put up a good fight in the first half against the 49ers. And the 49ers, in my opinion, are the best team in football.
I think so too.
And I know that they had absolute howler at home against the Cowboys, and that was terrible. But, like, division games are so tough to judge. Sometimes they're so close. Sometimes they're a blowout. Division games are always weird to talk about. But no, and then their win against the Cardinals, I mean,
It was a rough game.
now, like, if you would have told me, like, on Saturday, I would have said, oh, my God, yeah. But, like, the Cardinals are such a bogey team. They're such a trap game.
Mm.
Like, it's nuts. Going into the season, everybody thought that they were gonna be the pushovers, and I said before, they've been competitive in every game they've played.
They have. I mean, I'm on record saying I think they were going 0-17. They've already proved me wrong 3 games in.
The
Like,
0-17
they-
Cardinals.
You have like they brought in Paris Johnson in the draft. I'm an Ohio State fan. I absolutely loved him at tackle when he was there, and he was such a stud. But like, you really don't have anything else on that offensive line. James Conner is your running back. Your top receiver is Hollywood Brown, who already showed that he can't be a top wide receiver when he was in Baltimore. The defense had some pieces. They traded Isaiah Simmons for a 7th-round pick to the Giants.
And Buda Baker is hurt. Like that team on paper, not that great. And they've been putting it out there week to week.
Yeah.
I think Daniel Jones is not capable of leading the offense they need to lead. I don't know if their defense is good enough for their lack of offense. And I think they're gonna have a hard time winning games.
They gave Daniel Jones $40 million a year.
They don't have very many weapons. Darren Waller's chronically injured, and he's their best weapon. And
so is Saquon now.
Yeah, Saquon's. It's just not a good scene. They have bad injuries on their O-line, and I feel like it's getting worse and worse. They need to beat the Seahawks, and I just don't know if they even have it. They're on Monday night versus the Seahawks this week, and I don't know.
Third primetime game for them. 3 and 4 weeks. They had Sunday night. And then
Thursday
they just
night.
had Thursday night, and now they're getting
And they're 0-2.
Crazy. They're 0-2 in prime time. Daniel Jones only has won one time on prime time.
Yeah.
I saw that stat. So he's
Yeah.
competing with Kirko for the worst prime time performance.
The Giants, like, I don't know, they're a team, like, they have like the thing that I was gonna say with Darren Waller is also, like, teams know that he's their only receiver. Like, I thought the first 2 weeks was that they weren't throwing him the ball enough. They throw him the ball, and like 2 separate times you got pass interference called on him.
Oh.
And like defenders are going absolutely crazy with him because who else are you gonna throw the ball to? Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins,
Wandale,
Paris Campbell.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Their backup running backs, Matt Breida.
The last time, and like the thing is, they tried to go get Danny Dimes, a star receiver, and Kenny Galladay, and he caught like 2 passes for them.
He's still on the team. Like,
I don't think so.
I think he's unemployed now.
Oh,
for good
to
reason.
Kenny Galladay?
I don't know,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
and it's not
That could be a 30 for 30 one day.
Yeah, literally.
What happened to him?
All right, so next up, let's move off the Giants. I got the Panthers 0-3. Do they stink?
Oh yeah.
I think yes, but I think they're supposed to stink. Like, I don't think they're supposed to be good necessarily. I mean, obviously they want to win. They brought in some veterans, but it's like a Bryce Young development year. Let's see what he can do. Their defense is okay, but they've already been suffering some injuries. I don't think it's going to go well for them. They're probably going to be a 3 or 4 win team, in my opinion.
Yeah. The Panther. I, as a big CJ Stroud fan, I'm glad that he didn't go number 1. I wanted him to go number 1, but I'm glad that he didn't because it's just such a mess currently in Carolina, and Bryce Young now missed last week, doubtful for this coming week. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. Terrible offensive line. Adam Thielen had a great game against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And for that matter, Andy Dalton kept that game competitive. But, I mean, then you've got DJ Chark, who was famously the 3rd best wide receiver on the Jaguars. And then you've got, not much else after that.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders, who was really good, but again, anyone looks good. Behind that, Philadelphia O-line, DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell have proven
They
that.
look great.
Yeah.
So next up of the teams, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do they stink at 1-2?
I'm saying no. I think they're good.
I mean, it's so tough. I actually had this conversation Sunday night. I mean, their two losses was a game in which they were just simply outclassed by the Chiefs. I mean, it took until week 3 for Patrick Mahomes to win a game. I felt like the defense was a big part. The defense won it for them against the Lions in a game where their wide receivers were just...
Well, they lost against the Lions.
Oh, no, excuse me.
Yeah,
in a game...
against,
oh, my God.
Yeah.
They kept the game... The defense kept the game competitive. Excuse me. My fault. And then in this game, in the Jaguars game, the defense kept it competitive. But, like, I don't know. Just I haven't seen the same Trevor Lawrence I saw last year. Calvin Ridley had an insane week 1 and then has sort of been AWOL since then. Evan Engram has been AWOL, and I liked him. Travis Etienne has been hit or miss. Like,
Well, to your point of Trevor Lawrence being a guy last year, he wasn't a guy till about week 9 or 10. Like, he went on a good run, and all of a sudden they were in contention for their division, and Tennessee just fell off, and he took the division. It was good on him. I haven't seen enough of him to call him elite yet. I don't like, a lot of guys are on the bandwagon, and he had amazing playoff days or college days, and I haven't seen it translate to the NFL level yet. Will he get there? I do think so. But I think at this very moment, I think the Jags are in a stinky part of their season where they barely beat the Colts. They're struggling now on offense, and they just look like a mess this past weekend against the Texans. They got to turn it around fairly soon because the Colts are now in first place in that division.
And for the second time, I'll say I'm like, love CJ Stroud. I love what he's doing with the Texans, but like, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have some
He
pretty,
looked
like,
great that game.
and like, he barely got pressured at all.
Mhm.
Like, where's Josh Allen, man? Where are all these big guys on the defense that you invested so much time and money into? Like,
Yeah,
I
that
don't know.
defense disappeared
Supposed to be
after
good.
the Chiefs game. They looked great. They were
yeah.
having their way with Mahomes. They had a pick, and they were holding them, and they just disappeared this week. So I thought it was worth the discussion. I feel like people vary opinion on them. Next up, I've got the Jets. Do they stink?
Yeah, I would say so. After that Rodgers injury, I mean, Zach Wilson's terrible. Everybody knows it. He can't hit anybody. I mean, there's the lack of confidence in him. It's very, very
It's apparent,
evident.
yeah.
They have a terrible O-line. Dwayne Brown just got injured. I mean, they could throw anybody out there, and I don't think they'd be very successful. I mean, there are weapons on the offense, but they're tailored to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Their whole season's disappointing. I think the defense can keep them in some games, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
yeah.
solid, but I don't know. The Jets are going to be a very, very boring team to watch. They remind me of the old Bears teams with Mitch when Khalil Mack was still there and they had
Yeah.
a defense, but they just like scored 3 points every week.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it reminds me of. Just terrible football.
Yeah. I don't know. I was looking at that, and I was looking at, like, I had heard that Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz and Colin Kaepernick and a bunch of other guys had shown interest in the
Cam
job. And I was
Newton?
like, Cam Newton, yeah. And I was like, no, but like, it's such a weird spot because do I think any of those guys gives them more of a chance to win than Zach Wilson? I should, but I don't.
I think maybe
because-
Carson Wentz is the only one you can argue.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Ryan.
His days
Matt
are
Ryan
behind
went
him.
back on it. Like, he said that he never said that, and good for him. I mean, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he had a great career, and I just don't think he needs to tarnish his legacy anymore
Yeah.
with
His year with
playing
Indy
the
was
Jets.
dreadful.
Yeah,
So there's no reason to come back.
The Jets got to be kicking themselves for letting Mike White go. Honestly,
Right?
Look at it's really wild. I mean, he's throwing bombs. At this point, but he's
against-
having fun.
against the starting Broncos defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Peyton refused to take out any starters in that
Yeah,
game.
but Mike White would be all right for the Jets. I mean, anything.
I think it
look
would be
good.
worth watching. He won them games before.
Yeah, imagine the Dolphins are able to get like first out of the Jets for Mike White or something.
Dude, that'd
It'll
be
never happen.
nuts.
But watch, they be
Um,
like, "Hey, want him?"
They actually brought in a quarterback today.
Yeah.
They brought in Trevor Simeon.
Oh,
That's,
Who-
I guess, what is that, an emergency type situation they're looking at?
All I know is he was the backup to like Joe Flacco
Yeah.
yeah. There's nothing
when
available.
they started like 0-9 in 2020.
Yeah.
yeah, he's no
So,
good.
like-
he was on the Bears last year. I mean,
He's bounced around a couple teams. He's never done anything.
Yeah, he was,
it's just for insurance if somebody goes down.
'Cause who is there? I don't even know who their backup is. If
I
don't
just-
know.
let me look it up. Let me look it up.
I have no clue.
I think they mentioned it during the game because they were talking. I think it's Tim Boyle. Is that his name?
Tim Boyle's I think he's the kid from Connecticut.
Is he from Connecticut?
I'm pretty sure.
Is that his name? Am I right?
It is Tim Boyle.
Let's go.
He was.
Yeah.
He's Aaron Rodgers' guy. He's
Right. He
they're,
was
like,
from,
tight.
yeah.
Mm,
But,
yeah.
I mean, they showed him on the sideline a couple times, and I was like, why don't they put in a back? Like, Zach Wilson's done nothing this game, and if he threw a couple times, there would have been picks.
Yeah.
They just kept handing it off. I don't know. I don't know what the Jets' thought process is on a week-to-week basis when it comes to playing a game.
And I don't know if you guys saw what Joe Namath said about Zach Wilson. He was up in arms.
He went in
saying that he sucks. He's an embarrassment. This, that, or the other. And it's like this is the ultimate Jets legend, and he's calling you pathetic.
It's gotta hurt. I mean, I know his confidence is probably already tarnished, but I mean, if it wasn't,
It's just it's a bad situation down there. Let's move to a different team. I've got the 0-3 Vikings. Do they stink?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like, it keeps happening. Like, Kirk will put up these numbers, like, and it doesn't matter. Like, their defense is pretty bad.
It's really bad.
And I feel like their like, if you ask, like, how bad is their defense, like, just bad enough to make them lose. Like,
that's a
bad
fair
it is,
assessment.
like, every time without fail.
Because
Like,
with that offense, they should not be losing.
yeah.
They shouldn't be losing out in points every drive. Like, they're just loaded.
Yeah, their offensive line is all right, but like you've got the best wide receiver in football, in my opinion.
And he's already got, I think, the most yards already.
Oh, yeah,
he's
he has at
racking
least
it up.
100 in every game so far.
He's been killing it.
Crazy. And like, I mean, Alexander Madison isn't like
He's not Dalvin Cook.
he's
Fumbles.
not like a very look at him kind of guy, but like
He's serviceable.
I get it because he's been in the system for a long time. Every time, I swear, every time that Dalvin Cook goes down with an injury, he has an insane fantasy
He had a great
day.
game, yeah. But they also traded for Cam Akers. If I was them, I'd be looking defensively. But they get Cam Akers. I don't know how that's going to factor into the offense.
What I was saying was, I think that they are going because Madison has been all right, but he's also kind of struggled being the lead back.
Mhm.
So I feel like
Split
bringing somebody in isn't a bad idea because they don't really have anybody to compete with him on the roster. But yeah, I think Cam Akers definitely needed a change of scenery. I feel like
He never really got a chance in LA. I feel like every time it was just like, here's a game, he's getting pulled, or let's sign Sony Michel, or let's bring in this guy. It just kept feeling like they were not giving him a chance.
and I feel like Sean McVay always said that he had confidence in him and always said that he was going to back him. And then they were in the middle of games and you just like,
You could see
this doesn't
the
look
lack
like
of it,
that though. Like you're talking the talk, but you're not showing me anything.
I think of all the teams, I think the Vikings were the only one I put on the list that I was like, I don't think they stink yet, but I think they're really close to the verge of it. If they lose next week, they play the Panthers, I will officially say they stink. But I don't know if I'm ready to jump on them yet.
And it's not like any team in their division is 3-0 right now.
Yeah, they can still make up ground.
Yeah, they can definitely come back.
It would be crazy.
It would be tough.
They'd be the first 0-3 team ever to make the playoffs.
Really?
No, and even in the old wild card format, only
They have a better
one
chance now.
0-2 team has ever made it to the playoffs, and that's last year's Bengals.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, their division's not like they're not going to be unable to compete. Like, they all three have their flaws, and when it comes down to it, I think they're going to at least be in the conversation comes the end of the year.
Jefferson already has 458 yards.
He's
That's
insane.
nuts.
He might get 2K.
He might
very
request
well
a trade.
could. He had 18 last year. That's
But what? And that goes in with separate thing. Like, what the heck would you have to give to Minnesota?
Not that that's what's crazy. Not that much, because if he walks into the room and he says, "I'm not re-signing here after this season," he walks and for free.
And I'm not saying he's like
yes,
this guy.
last year of his deal, he is
no,
not.
but they got the 5th-year option on him, don't they?
Yeah, but what if he says, "I'm not playing"?
He can opt out of it though.
Yeah, but like Jefferson's literally worth like 3 first-round picks.
No,
honestly,
I'm not saying he's like him, but I'm saying it would sort of be like Shohei Ohtani at the deadline. It's like I'm not saying that he's Shohei Ohtani, but it's one of those that's like, what the heck do you give up for someone? Because like people like Justin Jefferson don't get traded.
But they do though
during the regular season at least.
But they do. Like that's what's like if they say I don't know. I
I'm
really
saying
think
previously, like not
Yeah,
making, like
yeah.
him get traded.
it just wouldn't surprise me. Like Devontae's been chirping. It just wouldn't surprise me if he looks and he's like, I'm tired of being the guy here, and we're 0-3. Or come the deadline, they're like 2-6, and he's gonna sit there and be like, I'm happy just losing. Like I just, it's a thought that crossed my mind. And what do you give up? That's a different discussion,
It
because
is.
every team will be involved in that.
If I was the Kansas City Chiefs, I'd throw
Yeah, at least for a season.
I'd throw an insane amount of throw an insane amount of picks. I'd throw whatever sorry wide receiver they have.
Yeah, I mean,
in
you
the-
at least
in
get
the
him for the
system.
year, and
To have
he's the best.
Jettas
Yeah.
and Travis Kelce on the same roster. I know everybody says that with every single free agent wide receiver,
Mhm.
with Hopkins in the offseason, with every single guy who becomes available. They think, oh, imagine if he goes to the Chiefs. But like, if I'm the like,
He's a
like,
cheap
why-
option right
why
now.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? If he shows that he's unhappy, if the Vikings even show a slimmer of wanting to get rid of him, why wouldn't you just throw everything at them?
Vikings would be crazy to get rid of him, in my opinion. I
It
think
would
you
be,
give him
but
whatever he wants.
sometimes if you're gonna get something out of somebody before they leave, you might as well. I'd rather see him get traded for picks than to have him walk with a 3-win season.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure he wanted to re-sign during the offseason.
Yeah, and then they started 0-3.
And now,
Every time they pan to him after the game, and he just looks so distraught. Those thoughts have to creep into your mind as a
Yeah.
wide receiver.
But we'll see what happens with that.
So I'm thinking it's time to make some game picks for next week's games.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
10-10 for me and you, Ryan. We
we
tied.
split.
We split, so I'm still up then.
I can't believe we split. That's crazy.
I was doing the tally, and it was neck and neck the whole time. It was like 1-1. I'd get one, and then you'd get it right back, and we were the same the rest of the way through. It was pretty crazy.
I'm hoping to win this week for sure. First game, we got Lions and Packers in Lambeau. I'm taking the Lions. I'm not getting burned by them this week.
I am also taking the Lions. Shout out to the Packers for a comeback win last week, but I've got belief in the Lions. I don't think I've picked against them once this season.
The biggest thing for me is the Packers have so many injuries going into this game that it's just I feel that the Lions should win this, and I also feel it's kind of a statement game. It's like we're gonna beat the Packers this time on the
They did at the end of last season.
Yeah.
I am going to be the only person to say Packers.
Packers. That's probably that could be a smart pick.
Probably a good chance Aaron Jones comes back this week. AJ Dillon has shown that he cannot do
can't
it
do
on
it.
his own.
Right.
He needs Aaron Jones, and I think he is a huge part of that offense. Another week healthier for Christian Watson. Romeo Dobbs has been a stud. Love that I've seen out of him. I think Jordan Love is just
He's been great.
I mean he hasn't put up the ideal peripherals, but like you can see it.
Pretty much, he's borderline a rookie at this point because this is his first real time playing NFL football.
Yeah.
He's got years under his belt in terms of watching, and he did watch under one of the greatest to play.
Exactly.
But he's looked really good, and it is different from when you're on the sidelines to in the game.
And division games are always so unpredictable. I just feel like being different. I feel like, not really, but I genuinely think that the Packers could pull it off now that the Lions are the favorites.
Yeah.
Now it's like
Changes it.
do the Packers flip the script?
We will see. Falcons, Jags. I'm taking the Jags. I feel that the turnaround game is upon us, and I know the Falcons are solid, but I like the Jags here.
This is a free home game for Jacksonville. They're playing in London where they have a lot of success. I'm also taking the Jags this week. First London game of the year. Also will be on the Toy Story Vision on Disney.
That should be interesting.
That should be interesting.
interesting.
Yeah. I'm a Patriots fan through and through, but if Robert Kraft said, no, I'm not selling the team, I'm dismantling the team altogether tomorrow, I think the Falcons would be my team. And I really like their team, and even though people poop on Desmond Ridder, like I think he's a good game manager. Like he's not meant to be the leader of that offense. He's not meant to be a stud. I love what I've seen out of Bijan. I'm a big Drake London fan, but I just think that they're going to be outclassed by the Jaguars when it comes down to Ritter versus Trevor Lawrence. Give me T-Law every single day of the week. I really hope, not even just for my fantasy, I really hope that Calvin Ridley has a good game against his former team.
Yes, I didn't even think of that storyline.
It's not Hugh Sterling because it's not like they're playing in Atlanta, and like it was sort of a weird situation. Like they should have held on to him, but like he's gonna be out for the whole year, and you need to sign. I'm pretty sure you need to sign a new contract anyway. Yep. So I understood it, and the Jaguars made him a good offer, and he played a really like I mentioned before. He played a really good week 1. I think he's gonna have a great week 4. Give me the Jaguars.
Same here. Next game, we got the Rams and the Colts. I'm taking the Rams. I don't know if I really believe in what the Colts got going on. I think Gardner Minshew's a pretty good quarterback, but I think that the Stafford Rams they're pretty formidable. And I think they just have a generally more solid team. I think the Colts will struggle with blocking Aaron Donald, and I like the Rams there.
The Colts have been a fun team to watch so far. I can't believe they won last week behind Gardner Minshew, which gives me some optimism that whether it's Gardner Minshew or Anthony Richardson, because he's still questionable, I like the Colts this week. I'm not buying in on the Rams all that much just yet, and I've liked what I've seen out of the Colts.
They're good. They're solid.
They're 2 fun teams to watch. I enjoyed watching the Rams yesterday. They literally came a centimeter away from beating the Bengals earlier in that game because Tutu Atwell stepped out of bounds on like a really big game that almost scored a touchdown, and like at the 2-yard line, he just barely stepped out of bounds, and they ended up. I think Stafford got sacked, and they ended up having to take 3 instead of the touchdown. So if that changes, who knows how the rest of the game goes. But they've been very competitive, and I did not have very big expectations, especially when Cooper Kupp went down. But Puka Nacua, and even more so, I've loved what I've seen out of Tutu Atwell and Kyron Williams. Those guys have been studs in the offense. Their defense is really young, but they held their own against Joe Burrow. And they held their own against, I know it's Brock Purdy, but against the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
And who was it? I can't remember who they beat in week 1.
Who'd they beat?
Because they lost
Seattle.
Oh no, they beat Seattle. Who did they lose to last week? I forget.
They
40. Okay, no. I'm such a dummy. Hold on. They played the Seahawks and they lost, and they won. Excuse me, but
then
they lost to
the Niners.
Lost
and
to the
Bengals.
Niners. Yep. Lost to the Bengals. I mean, all 3 of those games are very competitive. Stafford is still Stafford.
Oh yeah.
I still think that he's good, and now I'm pretty sure Cooper Kupp is eligible to come back either this week.
No, one more week.
Oh, one more week.
IR's 4 weeks.
But even when he comes back, I'm interested to see how that team ends up playing.
Yeah, I like the Rams there.
I'll take the Rams.
It'll be different.
Next, we got Ravens-Browns in Cleveland. I like the Browns there. And these AFC North games are very, very hard to call. But I like their offense has been doing. We might see Kareem Hunt this game. There's I like the Browns. I think they need to bring in another receiver still, but I think their defense is really solid, and I think they win a tough one against the Ravens.
I've also got the Browns winning this week, and I don't think they need another receiver. They just need to use Njoku more. Like, I've preached that last week. I'm going to stay on the perch. Like, he's a good tight end. Use him. You've got 2 guys there in the wide receiver position. I don't think you need a third to really elevate it. And the run game's going to get going when you got Kareem Hunt. Like, let him get acclimated again back with the team. I think he's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I'm also going to go with the Browns in that game, mostly because, like, I don't know, I just see, I don't know what it is about Odell Beckham, but he came in and all of a sudden, like, Lamar hasn't been playing as well as we thought he would. Like, last week he had a great game on the ground, but in the air he was so-so. And in week 1, he stunk even though they won. I don't know. Like I said, divisional games are always tough to call. But Deshaun Watson is starting to look a little bit better. He looked a lot more like his old self against the Titans. And I still like Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford,
he's been good.
He had 2 touchdowns, but he was kind of stifled in the run game by Tennessee. doesn't matter how much they stink, they will always have a fantastic defense, especially against the run. Like, they are just super stingy on the ground. And even with that, Jerome Ford was still able to have a good game. I still think that Stefanski goes by his word and that Ford is the lead back. I just feel like Kareem Hunt, he garnered a lot of interest in the offseason, and then it sort of died down. So I don't know what kind of shape he's in. He looked okay in the Titans game, but I hope that they don't have him outshadow Jerome Ford. I feel like Ford deserves his chance to be the lead back and command that backfield.
We will see what happens in that one. That should be a good game.
Yeah.
We got Vikings-Panthers. This is the one I think the Vikings are able to get their first win here. I think they they just score a lot of points in this game, I think, probably. Get up to like 37 or so. And I don't know if the Panthers are capable. I don't know if we're going to have Dalton or Bryce Young. If it's Bryce Young, you can probably count on a couple of turnovers, just like from the rookie. And I think that the Vikings should roll there.
Yeah, I've also got the Vikings getting their first win, and this goes into it. Can they start momentum from this point on? They have to if they want to mount any sort of playoff push for this season. So if they don't go out there and beat the Vikings or the Panthers, then they're going to be hurting.
Yep, 3 for 3. I mean, the Vikings need to win this game. It's not a matter of, like, do I feel confident about the Vikings this week? Kind of, but like it's just one of those where you need to win.
Yeah.
If you don't, like, Mayday, your season may be over quickly. You start looking at Justin Jefferson and Danielle Hunter and a bunch of these other guys. Like, do we want to stay?
Yeah, the Panthers are a team I think you can get right against. Next game, we got the Bengals and the Titans in Tennessee. I like the Bengals here. I just think they're generally a better football team. The Titans got walked last week by the other team in the division. And, I think that they're just too much of a match for them. And I think this is a kind of a get-right game for Burrow if he is more healthy. And that should be good for them.
I'm taking the Bengals here only because I think they have the better football team. I'm not fully on board with Joe Burrow. I think his injury is going to be their downfall this year. They've not rested him right. He's clearly playing in pain, and I just he's going to win a good couple of games, but I don't think it's going to be enough for their overall success.
It's a tough one because I think that the Tennessee defense will definitely cause problems for the Bengals. I feel like if you're a Joe Mixon fantasy owner, today this might be the week to lower your expectations. But I also think, like you said, Joe Burrow's playing a lot of pain right now, and this is a get-right game for him. He didn't look, considering the circumstances, he didn't look that bad against the Rams.
No,
like I said, didn't have good counting numbers, but and I also heard in the broadcast that he was unable to take a snap under center, it was causing him too much pain. So he basically played the whole game in shotgun and still had a decent game. I think another week. I hope for the kid's safety that they rest him well and that he can come back a little bit stronger, a little bit better. Hopefully they don't overwork him. I like it. I think it might be difficult for them to also include the run to sort of help Joe Burrow, but I think it's gonna be a really, really close game. I'm picking the Bengals in that one.
Next game, we got Bucs-Saints. We're going to have Jameis Winston likely going for the Saints against his old team. I like the Saints there.
This game is fun because of the matchups these two teams have had in the past couple of years. Always talking about a divisional rivalry here. I actually really like what the Bucs have been able to do so far this season. And with the Saints blowing that game last week, I do think they're going to get better than what they were last week, and Jameis Winston has proven he's pretty solid still. But I like what the Bucs are doing right now, so I'm actually taking the Bucs. I believe they're home this week too.
It's actually in New Orleans.
It's in New Orleans. I'm still riding with the Bucs.
the thing that neither of you guys mentioned that's the X factor for this game is Alvin Kamara's back.
That's
true.
So I feel like they were a bit limited in what they could do under Jamal Williams because, of course, I believe that he was brought in to sort of play in tandem with Alvin Kamara. Kamara's always had another guy next to him. Like he's still gotten his, and he's still put up great performances, but he's had Latavius Murray, Mark Ingram, guys like that. And I feel like Jamal Williams was brought in to be that kind of player. But now Kamara's got the backfield to himself, and I just feel like Jameis Winston, a guy who, if you wanted a backup quarterback, you want someone like him who knows the system, who knows the other team's system, or at least has history with them. I was all bought in on the Bucs after week 2, and I know the Eagles' defense is really good, but it was just kind of painful to watch that offense.
Yeah, they didn't have much going for him. I mean, Evans is always going to get a few plays down there. Godwin will get a few, but I think ultimately, like, the Saints just kind of have the Bucs number, and I don't think they'll miss too much of a beat without Jameis. I think they would be better off with Carr, but I think they'll still probably put up enough points, and I think their defense will carry them.
Yeah.
Dolphins, Bills. I'm taking the Dolphins. It's in Buffalo, but I think the Dolphins are too hot. Put up 70, and I think they're just. I just don't think anything could touch them right now.
I do think this is going to be one of the games we're going to have to look back on later on in the season of who's going to win the AFC East. I think the reason we're going to do that is because it's going to be very, very close, probably between just these two teams, but you never know. I'm taking the Bills here. I think Josh Allen needs a game to really get right in terms of he needs to be the guy who goes out and wins a big game. And after week 1, a lot of hate towards him. He threw those picks. He hasn't been dominant as of late, and I think this is a huge game for the Bills. That defense was disgusting last week too.
Yeah, poor Sam Howell, man. He got sacked like
9 times.
9 times.
9 times.
9 times.
Kid threw 3. Was it 4?
4 picks.
Yeah. 3 in the first and the pick 6.
Yeah. I invested in him for a dynasty league.
Yeah, he's still that's
I mean you can't really.
It's early.
Yeah,
it's early.
But looking back at it, I was trying to look back at like the history and see like how Buffalo has played Miami in front of the Mafia. And I mean, last year, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to look.
I think they split the season.
Miami has not beaten Buffalo at home since 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a stat.
It's been 7 years, and I don't think that's going to change this year.
Wow. I'm the only one on the 70-point Dolphins.
I mean,
this is a tough game to pick. It really could go either way.
I really wanted to say the Dolphins too because like one of the reasons they lost last year was they played in a tundra in Buffalo last year, and it's the weather in Buffalo is never amazing, but it's probably not going to be that bad this week.
Probably not.
They're playing them in mid-late September, so that's
October
not too
1st,
bad.
actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, this one has flown by.
Flown
In
by.
October, like Buffalo in October, not the worst that it could be. So, but I just can't bet against the Bills at home.
Fair
It's
enough.
tough to do that.
Next game should be an interesting one for me. We got Broncos, Bears, Soldier Field. Somebody's got to win.
I've heard a lot of people call
Unless it's
this
a tie.
the Caleb Williams Bowl.
This is the Caleb Williams Bowl. This should be interesting. I mean, all right, my real pick, I think the Bears are going to win, believe it or not. I really do. I think that, they actually will probably score some points. I think the Broncos are like a special kind of bad. And I think they're on like this track where it's like, I don't know. They just seem a little bit worse. I think the Bears will probably get something going. I think that they're probably not going to be so like scared of their competition. Like the Chiefs were just too big and bad of a team to be going against. But I feel like the Broncos are more palatable. And I'm like, okay. And I think that the Bears get their first win. I think Fields throws for 300 too. He throws for 300. Yeah, right.
I came into here thinking the Bears are going to win, but the more I thought about it, I just I don't know if they can. Like, I think the Broncos have to get a get-right game here. Like they're going to be the laughing stock of the NFL for years to come. Like they might finally overtake Atlanta. But I just like the Bears have so much going on outside of just what's on the field. Like their coordinator has the whole drama. He's resigned. You got Fields blaming the coaches. It just feels like there's really bad chemistry there. Chase Claypool has been a mess of like a player on that team. I really just like, I'm having a hard time getting on the Bears side. And I know I'm so like, came into the season thinking the Bears were going to be 8-9 win team in terms of like, they're going to turn it up a little bit. And they haven't. This isn't the start I had for them. So I'm thinking the Broncos get at least a smidge of get back game here.
It's interesting because, like I said, once again, Ohio State fan, love Justin Fields,
I
but
do too.
he's it pains me to say it. I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback.
Right now.
Like he just hasn't looked like it. Like
This year.
I feel like he's been figured out already. Because
Suck.
in college, the crazy thing is, Fields never ran in college.
I know.
Mhm.
It was a pocket pass.
He was a pocket passer in college, and that's what people thought he was gonna be. And he showed last year in flashes that he could use his legs and he was super dynamic, but it just seems like he got figured out. And they gave him an extra target in DJ Moore,
Mm-hmm.
and still, I mean, I understand the addition of Roshan Johnson, but that's also but getting him and Deontay Foreman in the offseason probably was not very good for Khalil Herbert's mentality, because he actually was the one basically that drove Montgomery out of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're bringing in all these guys and having him split time with all these dudes when like he thought he was going to have the backfield to himself. I think the Broncos, like, Russell Wilson has not played bad this year. I think he has like 6 touchdowns and 2 picks. And he had a very good game last week against the Commanders, even though they lost that game. And one of his touchdowns was a Hail Mary.
Mm.
He's still a very good game against a Commanders defense that I really like. And I just feel like if the defense plays even just a little bit better than they did last week, I just feel like they were just super outmatched, and it was just a bizarro type of game. I feel like they're gonna get right. I like the Broncos. Sorry,
Broncos
good.
country.
All good. I'm just gonna
That's
say
right.
one for Fields. I think it's completely in between the ears at this point. Like, I see him. He has happy feet. He doesn't believe in his line. The fact is, it hasn't been that bad. He's had some pretty clean pockets this year, and he's just got to chill out. Like, there's open receivers. I think it's between the ears. I don't think he's trusting what he's seeing, and I think it's there. And I think if he calms down and just looks at what's right in front of him, he'll realize there's a lot of open receivers, and all he has to do is throw it to him. And I know he has the talent to get it to him, so I just want to see him do it. And I think that one of these weeks, he's just going to do it. And it's just going to be like, okay.
sure hope
Yeah,
so.
he's
And
got to
we'll
click
see.
some point.
And we'll see.
Sure hope
If he doesn't, then, new
You're moving
quarterback,
on.
Whatever. But I like the Bears. Commanders, Eagles. This one's, the Eagles stumbled on the Commanders a little bit last year, but I don't think they do here. I'm taking the Eagles. Safe pick. They're a better football team.
Yeah, they did end the streak last year, the Eagles' unbeaten streak, but I don't see them doing it this year. I'm also riding with the Eagles.
Yeah. I don't like the Eagles, but keeping biases out of this, I do think that they are going to steamroll the Commanders. Poor Sam Howell. Back-to-back weeks, I think he's
Right.
going to get absolutely thrown around.
Jalen Carter might, who knows what he'll do. Steelers, Texans. This is kind of a tougher one to call, given the. I think recency bias will have you taking the Texans here, but like Steelers. I think the Steelers are the better football team. I think the Texans will not be able to necessarily handle the Steelers pass rush. They have some well-coached, athletic guys coming off the edge. Some hard hitters everywhere. The Steelers are not a team I'd want to run into ever, and I think that they're going to have a pretty easy time with the Texans.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Steelers here. I'm ready for their schedule to kind of amp up because it's been fairly simple so far. Once these Steelers start playing a tougher team, that's when you're going to get the true testament of this team. But
Yeah.
Right now, I think they're going to deal okay against the Texans.
And they got absolutely humbled by the 49ers in week 1.
Yeah.
Big time.
Which was not a fun game. But yeah, I think this is probably a top 2 defense right now.
2?
Besides the 49ers, I think the 49ers are number 1. I think the Steelers do give up some points and very stupidly sometimes, but I feel like that they at least in my opinion have the best pass rush because they've just got an insane amount of sacks in 2 weeks. TJ Watt, I believe, is the best defensive player in football right now. Some people will say Micah Parsons. I think it's TJ Watt. He's already beaten the Steelers' all-time sack record, and he is in his mid-20s, which is insanity.
He's wild.
And I do think, and Joey Porter did have the matchup most of the game of Devontae Parker, so I can't really say much about his performance. But he's looked decent. He's a very bright prospect. Pat Pete, who had a decent season with Minnesota last year, being in that room helps him a lot. Levi Wallace, who is a really good corner in Buffalo. I feel like they have the piece, and of course Minka Fitzpatrick. They have the pieces. I like them disrupting C.J. Stroud, even though he's been playing well.
We got Raiders Chargers. I think that the Chargers probably win here. I think that the Raiders just are kind of a mess. They've been in some close games. They played the Steelers tight. I think the Chargers have a much better offense. The Raiders are just struggling to put up points, and I think the Chargers roll there. I think they probably score like 30-ish points.
Yeah, I also have the Chargers here. The Raiders haven't shown much. I think Jimmy G's dealing with something now.
Concussion.
They Raiders have been off to a slow start. Yes, they beat the Broncos, but since then it's been really rough for them. So I can't go against the Chargers in this game.
No, this is a game. This is a game that even though they won last week, they need to win this week.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't hate the Charger. I don't hate the Raiders. Excuse me. Jimmy G just made some stupid throws against the Steelers. Like there's some even at the very end of the game when like you don't need to be doing much. Like you are going to lose. He threw a pick that was nowhere near Devontae Adams, and I just feel like and then their backup I'm pretty sure is Brian Hoyer. I don't like Brian Hoyer trying to win me a game in 2023. I'm taking the Chargers, like I said, especially if they get Eckler back this week.
Cardinals 49ers, kind of an interesting one. I'm taking the Niners here. The Cardinals have been putting up some good fights against some good teams, but at the end of the day, the Niners seem to be rolling. I don't really see a team beating them until they do, but I'm not going to be the one to call it. I'm taking the Niners.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. The Niners are very, very well-rounded, and I mean, yes, kudos to the Cardinals last week against the Cowboys, but the Niners are a much better team.
Yeah, and now Niners probably getting Ayuk back this week. Just another freaking weapon for that team. It's insane. But yeah, it may be a close one just because, like I've said before, division games are weird and the Cardinals are a weird team. But yeah, Niners.
Being a Christian McCaffrey fantasy owner is not a bad thing.
No, it's good at all.
It's good eating right now.
Good
Not
time.
at all.
Patriots Cowboys in Dallas. It's kind of a hard game to pick. I know I'm amongst the Patriots fans. I'll just say it. I took the Cowboys here. I think they bounce back. It's not going to be easy. I don't even know how I see the Cowboys scoring points, but I see them doing it. Their defense is solid. The Patriots are going to put up a fight, though. It'll be a tough one.
I've also got the I've got the Pats for this one. I think the Cowboys are going to be in a slump right now. Not for a long time, but no Trayvon Diggs. It hurts them. And I think the momentum for the Pats is going to pick up. We've got this game, and then we have a couple games that I think are winnable before Buffalo. And we get into that situation with a couple wins under our belt, and a big win against Dallas would be huge. So I'm riding with the Pats again.
So ready to go Cowboys, and then you've done your best to convince me there. I don't know. I still can't get over the loss to Dallas last year.
That game was brutal.
We should have won that game.
Yep.
And I mean that's really been the story of Mac Jones' career so far, has been keep yourself really close in games, except for like 2 games against Buffalo. And like he's kept himself in game. He's kept the team in games like last year when we played the Packers, when we played the Cowboys, when we played the Vikings, basically the entire NFC North. But
Except
like
the Bears.
All right.
But like
I gotta get my
came
licks
back
in
from injury
somewhere.
that
I gotta
game.
get them in there. I can't get any licks. We haven't won in 13 games. Okay.
that was like, and that one like the whole pressure of Zappy Hour and this.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
just
fun.
it was just such a weird time.
That was fun.
But yeah, Mac just. I haven't seen a game against a good team that's been really close that he's been able to pull out yet. And I mean, he had a great 2021, was a vote-in Pro Bowler. And as much as I like to say, like we almost beat Philadelphia, we almost beat Miami, almost. You know what I mean? Almost is not going to win you anything in the NFL. I really, really, really think that we can beat Dallas, but I'm not gonna. I can't do it until I see Mac Jones win a big game like that. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
It's fair.
Fair enough.
Hoping he proves me wrong though.
Chiefs, Jets. This one could be pretty bad. I mean, I think even the Chiefs, they're just gonna get the ball out quickly against the Jets, and yeah, that might slow them down a little bit. But the Jets are gonna have a hard time scoring. The Chiefs have a pretty good defense. And they're not a fun team to play. That one might be tough. The Chiefs by a lot.
Yeah, I've got the Chiefs by a lot. I'd keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, by a lot. I think this might be the game where the Jets bring in their new signing, Trevor Siemian. Maybe Tim Boyle. Maybe Tim Boyle gets him. I'm very excited to see who is it? I'm very excited to see Blaine Gabbert at the end playing the fourth quarter for the Chiefs.
Gabbert yeah. And
Yeah.
he threw a pick last week.
Oh,
He threw.
Jack
I'm
Sanborn.
pretty sure he threw 2. No,
Did he throw 2?
I think.
Crazy.
I don't know if he threw 1 or 2, but
not
I
in front
know,
of T Swift.
Yeah,
I would think I know if
she-
the Bears
she was
got
probably
a second
gone by then.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she had probably made her way down. She was like,
Yeah.
all right. They took all the starters out. They took Travis out. I don't care.
One last game, we got Seahawks Giants in MetLife Stadium. I think the Giants just go 0-3 on primetime. I
Yeah.
think they do it. Give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, I also have the Seahawks. Giants road isn't getting any easier, and they need this win. But Seattle's kind of in the same boat where they need wins. Not that they're doing poorly this year, but they've got a division they have to keep up with, and the 49ers and the Rams have been competitive and got the win over them. I think Seattle, they beat them last year. I think they beat them this year.
Yeah. I mean, the Seahawks offense just looked fantastic. Kenneth Walker is such a monster, man. I think the kid is super special. I just think that when your top wide receiver is one of Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, or I don't know, Paris Campbell, or Wan'Dale Robinson, it's not good, especially when teams are double covering and blanketing Darren Waller because they know that you won't throw to these other guys. Yeah. I don't think that one's good. I think both primetime games are going to be absolutely ugly.
Yeah. I think it is going to be a tough week for the primetime games.
Because what's the Thursday night
I think
game
Thursday.
again?
Lions, Packers, I
That'll
think.
be
Okay,
pretty
no,
good.
that one's going to be good.
But Sunday
I
night
think-
and then Monday night.
Sunday to Monday.
Yeah.
Swing. Yeah, might not be the best.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. Christian, you want to plug yourself a little bit and where people can find you?
Well, not really much now. But not if you want to check out the gram, Chris Marlowe 21. I post every time the Patriots win, which is not very often.
Few and far between now.
But if you do, I don't know. If you do want to go follow me, you can. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course.
Thanks
This
for
has been
coming.
awesome.
Right.
Give me an actual healthy outlet to express all of the thoughts I have of the NFL season so far.
Oh yeah.
And best of luck to you guys in episodes in the future. It's great to be
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you for coming. This has been episode 4 of the Blowout Sports Podcast. Thanks for joining us, and hope to see you next week.